Say goodbye to a little bit more of your privacy. Federal authorities revealing that they're gathering and storing data about you every time you enter the country by land. Brian Todd has been looking into this story, and he's here. What are you learning, Brian?
Well, Wolf, privacy advocates say these new tighter rules that were disclosed not long ago by the Department of Homeland Security are yet another instance of the government acting like Big Brother. But Homeland Security officials say with nearly 820,000 people crossing into the U.S. by land each day, there are security gaps that need to be closed. You're crossing the border to shop or take a quick vacation. When you cross back from Mexico or Canada, the government knows when and where, and will know it for more than a decade. The Department of Homeland Security recently disclosed it's now collecting information on all American citizens crossing into the U.S. by land, entering it into a database and storing it for 15 years. Homeland Security officials say this is to tighten gaps and more effectively track criminals and potential terrorists. Privacy advocates say too many innocent people are caught up in this, and information on their travel patterns could later be abused.
The broad collection of personal information about Americans who are doing nothing wrong creates an enormous temptation to use it for new purposes that are dreamed up later.
Homeland Security officials say land border crossings have been recorded and kept for several years. A small percentage of Americans coming through land border checkpoints were allowed to just orally declare their citizenship and be waved through. As of this year, all Americans crossing the border will have to provide ID. A Homeland Security spokesman says in a post-9/11 world, we can't have an honor system at our borders. Supporters of the tighter rules say security is paramount and privacy at the border is relative.
Your expectation of privacy at the border, which is where governments exercise their sovereignty, is different. And so governments have been collecting information since, our grandparents came over and went to Ellis Island.
But our ancestors at Ellis Island may never have had their records of entry used in civil litigation like a divorce case. Those records could now be used for that if an attorney wants to subpoena the information. So civil liberties groups are going to be monitoring the use of this system very, very closely.
And what about folks coming into the country by plane?
That data, the international passengers from air, has been kept for a long time. That's for decades. That's been recorded and kept in a database. So the only thing new here is that the small percentage of people coming in by land, about 1%, who previously could just be waved through by saying they're a U.S. citizen, they now have to present documentation.
All right. Thanks very much, Brian, for that.